Uncle Mark.
Yes.
I think that perhaps one of the only adjectives that could not be applied to me right now is healthy.
Oh, there's others. There's others, but that would be in the top 700.
Yeah, that's on the list.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for ways to improve what is, the dying of the flesh. And I think Uncle Dan... To
forestall the off-shuffling of this mortal coil?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm hanging on to the top of the coil with all my strength.
Good for you.
But Uncle Dan, you might have something that could possibly help me.
I don't, but let's talk about it anyway.
Sure.
The ancients, keepers of the mystical knowledge and wisdom the rest of us can only really dream of. And of course, when I say dream of it, I mean just that, because pretty much every time we make any attempt to test or use the magical practices of bygone times, we find that they were all just as fantastically fictional as that six-legged giant who tried to ask me for directions to the Mud Palace last night.
Now, did you give them to him?
I gave him bad directions.
Oh, well,
he was not happy. He was not happy. Now look, I don't want to be disingenuous here. Just because a concept is old doesn't mean it won't work. The ancient world has much to offer us if we pay attention. It's like when your mom encouraged you to go visit Grandpa, and you said you didn't want to because he's weird and he smells funny, but she insisted that the elderly have a lot to teach us, and he had wisdom that you could benefit from. So you rode your little bike down to the nursing home, and you made your way past the puddle of urine in the hall to room 475, where you told your grandma that a kid at school had been bullying you, and he went on a 75-minute-long rant about how all the girls really want it, and you just have to get them drunk and don't take no for an answer. That's how I met your beloved grandmother. And also, no matter what happens, and no matter what those hippies down at the college try to tell you, you can't trust the darkies or the Jews.
I was going to say, and it's the first time you ever heard the N-word used.
That's right.
Ancient wisdom.
Yep. What I'm saying here is, and I think we can all agree, that older equals wiser.
Yeah,
so,
automatically.
Magically. So this is especially true of medical practices. Modern, quote, Western medicine has become a sad, unfeeling state of affairs. It's a sterile, clinical practice where they stuff chemicals in your mouth and run all sorts of laboratory tests on you and don't seem to care at all about playing calming sitar or pan flute music or filling the air with a shocking, bordering on nauseating amount of soothing lavender oil.
Yeah, it's and Western medicine with its evil side effects of nearly doubling the human lifespan. It's terrible.
Right, and keeping, infants alive and all that sort of nonsense. It's like they've given up completely on treating the whole person and are only there to treat the specific condition that you went in there to see them about. Now, look, you may use all kinds of fancy science talk to try and trick me into your Western medicine madness. You might tell me, for instance, that the pill you're trying to push on me has been proven in multiple rigorous laboratory trials to be, effective with minimal side effects. That is, or that it's the only treatment known to science to work for my specific condition. But I'm here to tell you, your science is fine for some things. But it's just one way of looking at the world, man. There are other practices that have been around for millennia, used by literally billions of people around the world. Do you mean to tell me that billions of people are wrong just because every time their practices are studied, they're found to be no more effective than placebo? What about the lavender? Huh?
Of course
you
not.
unfeeling bastard.
Open your eyes, man.
Right?
Open your third eye, dude.
Right? Your chakras are seriously out of whack. Here's the thing. It's not like the ancients were completely up in the night. They had thousands of years to hone and refine their practices. Of course they were going to get some things right. Mind you, thousands of years of refinement don't count for a lot when there's no decent method in place to guide the process other than just, I call myself a healer and I said so. But there's got to be some ancient wisdom out there that really works, right? I mean, go back to episode 57 where Uncle Mark told us all about the ancient practice of drilling a hole in your head.
Yeah.
They still do that. Not for the reasons they did it back then, but
we found tons of skulls with holes in them, and they're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. What's wrong with them?
Yeah.
So, still. Today, I'm going to discuss an ancient practice that, never fear, leaves your skull entirely intact. Though, and this baffles scientists to this day, if you think about it too much, your brain could still fall out of your head. Today, I want to talk about Ayurveda. Now, coming to us from the mystical Indian subcontinent, some say that the earliest forms of Ayurveda date back to 6,000 BCE, going all the way back to the Indus Valley civilization. Mind you, none of it was written down until the Vedic period thousands of years after that, so that's a lot of guesswork as to how much of what we have now is even related to what was passed through the oral traditions way back then. The Vedas were initially composed somewhere between 1500 and 1200 BCE, so still no slouch in terms of old. They were religious texts that have been passed down through the ages, and like the Christian Holy Bible, we haven't been able to stop people from believing it all. It's very disappointing. It's estimated that as many as 80% of Indians use Ayurveda, either as their exclusive medical treatment model or as a fun little side order on modern medicine.
God, and it bears mentioning, right? 80% of India is a billion people, right?
Yeah, it's it's close to that. It's insane. It's almost as common in other countries in the subcontinent, like Nepal and Sri Lanka. The Indian government even has an entire governing body, part of the Ministry of Health and Welfare, called the Department of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha Medicine, and Homeopathy. So,
are they hiring?
What's right? They're doing real good over there. So.
Essentially the equivalent to the Department of Silly Walks.
Right, yeah, exactly.
or our current Department of Education.
or any department
Yeah, exactly.
in the federal government of the United States of America. Of course, in the 1960s and 70s, if you approached a white person with anything that had the words ancient, Asian, and natural attached to it, they would run screaming to the nearest bank, withdraw all their savings, and with a lunatic look in their beady little eyes, they would savagely chase you through the streets, throwing money at you. This led to a few fun events in our wild, wild country, but one of those things was the introduction of this amazing holistic healing method, along with yoga. This goes hand in hand with yogic practice. So. A lot of times you'll get, if you go to yoga class enough times and, then you complain to your yoga teacher about how your sciatica is acting up, she will recommend an Ayurvedic practitioner for you. And the word I used before, holistic, is key to understanding part of the appeal of Ayurveda. You see, Ayurveda understands that humans aren't just a collection of discrete organs doing separate jobs. No, everything's connected, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure modern medicine knows that too.
Yeah.
But they don't treat the whole self when you go in for a colonoscopy. They just, stick a camera up your bum with no thought whatsoever about what that will do to your mental existence or your personality. They don't even send you home with any herbs, for Krishna's sake. How am I supposed to rebalance my doshas?
I'm just having a moment because when I got my colonoscopy, it was an Indian doctor, so my mind is just blowing up right now.
I wanted to do that to you.
True story. And when I woke up in the middle of the procedure, and the Olympics were on television in the lobby, and so I woke up in the middle of the procedure, and I'm looking at the television screen in front of me that is showing the up my butt, and it's just this pink tube. And I remember saying this, even though I was drugged like fuck. I remember saying, "Which event is this?" And he said, "You have a beautiful colon. Go back to sleep." And I went, "Okay." I thought it was like bobsled.
I was going to say the fact that he didn't say the luge is a huge missed opportunity.
Right.
Well, it was the
Olympic
Summer
Water
Olympics,
slide.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right.
The circle of life.
Indeed. Right up your circle.
Yes.
So an Ayurvedic practitioner is going to be very interested in how everything relates to everything else. The nadi bone's connected to the mutra bone. The mutra bone's connected to the mala bone. Everybody, the mala bone's connected to the jiva bone. Now hear the words of the guru. So, actually, those aren't really bones. Those are 4 of the 8 parts of you that Ayurvedic practitioners will check to find out what's really wrong and how to fix it. Nadi, for instance, is your pulse. I don't know why they need to use the Sanskrit word for it, but sure does sound fancy to all the sage-smelling white mystical women out there.
Yeah.
They eat that Sanskrit up with a spoon. So, as well as your pulse, your local Ayurvedist will check your shabda, which is your speech, your sparsha, your touch, your druk, which is vision, akruti, which is appearance, and your mutra and mala, which are your pee and poop.
Okay.
From a careful and very invasive examination of everything gross and smelly about you, the practitioner can then diagnose what's going on with your disgusting self. And
that sounds very thorough. Very thorough.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And prescribe what needs to be done to fix it. And usually what's going on is an imbalance of the doshas.
I'm assuming that there's not one of these doctors in an emergency room. Right?
If there is, you need to leave and go find yourself a different emergency room.
Exactly.
So I've got to sit there with a nail in my head while he sifts through my poo and pee to find out what's wrong with me?
No, he'll probably look at your tongue. So the doshas are basically the Indian version of the 4 humors of ancient Greek and Roman medicine.
Right.
They are Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. Oh, wait. They're like the 4 humors, but there are only 3. Sorry. They are composed of the 4 classical elements.
Well, with the exchange rate from Greece to India, you take a bath, so it's
and it is hard to exchange because part of this is actually imperial and part of it's in metric, so it's always tricky to do that.
Right.
For instance, they are composed. Those 3 doshas are composed of what we would say is the 4 classical elements of earth, air, fire, and water. But they also have ether, so that's 5. We get, it's hard to do it with the exchange rates. Anyway, the 5 elements are divided into the 3 doshas, so that you have Pitta, which is fire and water, Kapha, which is earth and water, and Vata, which is air and ether or space.
Wait, and this is that M. Night Shyamalan movie, isn't it?
That's right. That's
with
right.
the little bald kid. Yeah. I love it. It's a great film.
Yeah. There's also the 4th one, which is called Cava, and that is Spanish champagne, which is actually what I have to use to get through all of these stupid woo segments. Now, if you wanted to get the full benefits of Ayurveda, you would go to a practitioner and pay them, of course, a sum of money. A local website shows an initial consultation for $95. And they will spend 90 minutes asking you a whole lot of questions about yourself. That's personality questions, lifestyle questions, diet questions. They want to know everything about you. They will probably weigh you. They will definitely look at your tongue, maybe smell you, listen to your breathing. I mean, Jesus, buy a guy a drink first.
Right.
Oh, you actually do have a drink for me? Does it have alcohol? Oh, turmeric and cumin. Oh, okay.
Yum.
Yeah. From there, they will determine what your dominant dosha is. If, for instance, you are tall and slim with an oval face, dry skin, thin hair, small joints, long fingers, and prominent bones, with a quick and flexible mind, abundance of creativity, imaginative, joyful, and happy, talk a lot, are excited, alert, and loving, but you're insecure, obsessive-compulsive, and or bipolar, you're obviously a Vata type. Whereas...
Of course.
If you're full-bodied with a round face, round nose, big round eyes, luscious hair, soft ivory skin, larger joints, and stocky hands with a sweet, loving, happy, caring, nurturing, faithful, grounded, patient demeanor, but you sometimes experience congestion, obesity, laziness, swelling, weak digestion, hoarding, shyness.
Hoarding.
You're clearly a kapha, right? I mean, obviously. It's really
just maths.
When you think about it, you're like, oh, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there are the pittas, who are of medium build with sharp nose and chin, penetrating eyes, pink skin, freckles, moles, exhibiting early gray or balding, who are intelligent and logical with a good memory, good speaking ability, natural leaders, clean, neat, charismatic, and brainy, but are also angry, critical, competitive, meticulous, dominating, controlling, aggressive workaholics.
You called?
So, what? Obviously, everybody falls into one of these three categories. Or I guess maybe you're a combo kid showing signs of two or even all three of the types. Jesus, save some characteristics for the rest of us. Anyway, the key to health and well-being is to keep the doshas balanced. Balance is everything. So, if you're a pitta, let's say, that means that you have a lot of fire in you, which is why you're such an overworking, angry dick all the time. Now, you have to remember that, unlike homeopathy, where like cures like, in Ayurveda, like increases like, which makes a lot more sense when you think about it. The idea here is that your dosha has certain qualities in abundance, so you don't want to add to those qualities, you want to balance them out. So, since pitta is fire and has the attributes of, and I don't know why, but oily, sharp, whatever that means, hot, light, mobile, and liquid, you want to counter those.
That sounds like post-tandoori for me.
Right, yes, exactly.
I love Indian food. It does not love me. I'm just going to leave it at that.
There you go. Maybe you're a pitta. No, you're something else. Anyway,
I'm a plapa.
So, right, exactly. So, for instance, what you could do to counter those things is favor cool but not ice cold beverages over hot ones, and protect yourself from noonday sun, and avoid things like chili peppers, vinegar, alcohol, tobacco, caffeinated beverages, and chocolate. Joy.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Right. Maybe before bed, have some milk previously boiled with a little ghee, saffron, cardamom, and sugar, once cooled to a comfortable temperature.
That sounds nice. That sounds nice.
It's easy and fun to balance your dosha.
Yeah.
By the way, vegans will not like Ayurveda. The use of ghee alone, which is just like clarified butter, is staggering. They think ghee is literally the magic elixir of the gods. They use it by the gallon.
So, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but, you wake up in the middle of the night with a very dry mouth.
Ghee!
I don't think the cure for that is boiled milk with cumin
and butter
to wash that down.
Wrong. Just look, have you studied Ayurveda? It's 5,000 years old. You just do what you're told.
Okay. Are you hoarding again?
How round are your eyes?
I'm liquid, immobile, and hoarding. What am I?
Yeah, exactly. How pink is your skin? All right.
You've seen me.
Yeah, I know. All the way.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't as easy as just figuring out what your dosha type is and then reading a website about how to balance it. If it were, you might be tempted not to pay a professional Ayurvedic practitioner hundreds of your dollars. So, no. You need to have a personalized regime of treatments prescribed for you and updated regularly to ensure good balance and to ensure that your practitioner can continue to afford her boat. But Uncle Dan, I hear you say, this can't just be nonsense, right? We said it before, literally 1 billion people buy into this stuff. And it's so ancient. And modern medicine is sometimes wrong, and many other common logical fallacies. Well, I'm sorry to say that while there have been some scientific studies done to test the efficacy of Ayurvedic treatment, none of them have really shown any reliable positive results, which is crazy considering how dead-on accurate this medical equivalent to a horoscope is, as long as you don't ask too many questions. And also, don't count it when it doesn't work. So that was your fault. You did it wrong. Now we have to start all over again.
Yeah, Ayurveda cannot fail. It can only be failed.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the woo works, actually.
Totally.
All of the woo is basically operates on the principle of what'd you do?
Exactly.
And that's that. That's it. It's ancient and man. You got, if you know a suburban housewife who has been going to yoga for more than 3 years, you know someone who's done some oil pulling.
Yeah, it's so there's a couple things. One is unlike Ayurveda, yoga has a lot of excellent upside.
Yeah.
Like it's people get amazing physiological health results out of practicing yoga. It's great for balance and strength and
it's meditative.
Yeah,
it's got a mindfulness quality to it.
Yeah, and it is also ancient, and that's awesome. So
yeah.
That's cool that something from the ancient world has maintained as a provably healthful thing, but other things have not. Right, and this is kind of one of them. I mean, there may be a couple things in Ayurveda that are healthful, but deciding if you're oily or mobile and how that relates to
or pointy,
your pointy,
yeah,
blunt.
But
how that relates to your chakras, I don't know. So.
The temptation to believe that in ancient wisdom is so great, and of course this doesn't apply to automobile manufacturing or air travel. But I worked with this kid, who's a nice guy, but he was one of those that always just kind of fell for that ancient thing. And the molecule that was isolated and is now in aspirin was originally found in a tree bark. We all know this, right?
Yeah,
the willow tree, sure.
Yes, and he was always like, "Oh, you shouldn't take aspirin. What you should do is chew this bark." Like, oh my God, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
yeah. It's it's very funny. Anytime you want the appeal to antiquity appeals to you, just slam your head in the door because it's going to be just as useful. The thing is,
and you'll save money.
And the thing, the caveat that I always like to give when I'm talking about a woo is because people always talk about modern medicine and they call it Western medicine. And how
derisively, typically,
and how it gets things wrong all the time, and the point here isn't that that's not true because it is true, but the point here is they actually are required to track when they get things wrong and course correct,
right?
And none of these woo things have that. That's not a built-in feature of Ayurveda.
Right.
Like you don't have to track if it works or not. All you have to track, all a practitioner is going to track is successes. So, and here's the thing: I believe that an Ayurvedic practitioner could probably give me a series of foods that could cure me of a little bit of mild constipation. They probably got that figured out. But if you've got cancer or something, please go to a real doctor.
Listen, there is not a human being alive that could not give me a better diet regimen than my current one. So, fine, Ayurveda.
There's just some common sense. It's like, oh, you drink too much. You drink too much coffee. You're eating too much, right? It's like,
right.
Doug,
I'm going to drive over with a gallon of ghee for you.
Gallon of ghee and a defibrillator, please. But an ancient one.
Well, I've got to stick a neti pot up into my sinuses, so
yes, indeed.
we should probably move on.